Hello everyone, how are you? Welcome again our lesson. Today we'll be discussing another interesting topic. Apply critical thinking, data analysis, and digital technologies to evaluate challenges and develop effective business solutions. Let's get started without further delay. Okay, this model focuses on synthesizing critical thinking, data logic, and digital technologies to analyze complex challenges in food system, food waste, logistical shrinkage, and regulatory compliance, and develop effective business solutions. We will talk analytical methodologies like Ishikawa and trees, and so on. With Industry 4.0, tools such as IoT, blockchain, and artificial intelligence is another topic today. By blending theoretical depth with real-world success stories, example from South Korea, France, and Africa. Our learning objective is strategic problem solving, evaluate digital solution, data analysis, and KPI design, and apply critical thinking. This one is very important. What's the apply critical thinking? Recognize cognitive biases, confirmation bias, encourage, etc. in food management process and make the strategic decision using system to analytical thinking. Okay, let's start. We are gathered here today not just to talk about food waste, but to conduct a psychological checkup of our food system. As an industrial psychologist, I can tell you this. Food waste is not just a problem of a broken refrigerator. It's a problem of broken corporate behavior. The EU Green Deal and the Farm to Fork strategy are essentially a therapy plan given to us to restructure our food system. When we combine technical intervention with the concept of resilience, we save not only the food, but also the motivation of the people who produce it. You know that teeny bit of guilt you feel when throwing away an expired your in office. That is a global multi-million-dollar inefficiency entropy. Today, we will discuss how to control this entropy with digital algorithms. If you are ready, let's blend the cold lab data of food engineering with the warm strategies of HR and initiate the Waste 4.0 era. Remember, waste is not destiny. It's a cognitive margin of error that must be managed. Let's get serious for a moment. As the SDG 12.3 targets are waiting at our door like a performance evaluation meeting. Halving waste by 2030 is that impossible but motivating KPI that every HR expert dreams of. The EU Waste Framework Directive and Türkiye's Zero Waste Regulation are catalysts for efficiency rather than legal checklists for institutions. The most critical concept here is the polluter pays principle. Psychologically, this is a transfer of responsibility. If a business cannot control its shrinkage, it is basically saying, I love throwing my money and labor away. In Asia, human resources, we call this resource blindness. While food engineers measure carbon dioxide emission in the lab, we measure the cost of the human error behind those emissions. Legislation is no longer a hurdle. It's a seatbelt protecting your company future profit margin. Those who don't wear this belt are destined to be thrown off at 2030 curve. As a psychologist, I can tell you this. Ideas die where hierarchy lives. We are all familiar with the famous production versus quality war in food factories everywhere. However, to realize circular economy principles, we need to end these terrible wars. Upcycling ideas are not born in places where hierarchy is most rigid, but in brainstorming season where everyone has the freedom to talk, nonsense. The success of the Garot law in France is not just the success of a law. What increased food donation in the retail sector to 96% is the sense of belonging that says, my company is doing something good. When people are part of a meaningful job, preventing waste becomes a passion rather than a task. An employee who prevents an apple from going to waste just because its shape is distorted is personally building this company's sustainability vision in the field. Let's not leave creativity only to the marketing department. Let's allow food engineers to think outside the box as well. Errors are the silent saboteurs within an organization. When a problem arises, we usually blame the person closest to us. But as psychologist, my warning to you is blame the system, not the person. This is where the Ishikawa diagram comes into play. You know Ishikawa diagrams. We looked previous lesson. Ishikawa diagram is very important diagram and shows us a lot of solution and source about problem and what we want to do. When we dissect the problem with the 5M model, another important model, man, method, machine, material, and environment, you see that the problem is not Mr. Ahmed's carelessness, but a software error in the digital tracking system reached through 5 whys analysis, as you know. What is 5M model? This framework, forming the basis of the Ishikawa diagram, categorizes the root causes of errors in food operations by analyzing human error, faulty methods, equipment failures, raw material defects, and environmental conditions. The source of waste is systematically identified. It serves as a critical diagnostic tool in operational excellence and quality control process across the food industry. A temperature deviation in the cold chain is not just a technical failure. It's an excessive workload or a faulty procedure that made someone forget the maintenance of that device. Getting to the root cause is about curing the disease rather than treating the symptoms. When we combine engineering intelligence with organizational intelligence, we can transform waste points into improvement opportunities. It's time to move from a culture of blame to a culture of analysis. Morphological analysis, it's very interesting method and I love it. And Zwick's box, it's very important for our topic. In decision-making process, we sometimes drawn among options. We call this decision paralysis. In morphological analysis, developed by Fritz Zwicky, this method examines all possible solution combines of complex and multidimensional problems through a matrix structure. In food waste management, parameters such as waste type, technology, and logistics are matched within a Zwicky box to discover innovative business models and sustainable waste valorization strategies often missed by traditional methods. Correct modeling prevents waste caused by incorrect investments. The Zwicky box, a legacy of Fritz Zwicky, as I say, shows us the way to escape this paralysis. When you imagine parameters such as waste type, conversion technology, and logistic model in a matrix in complex food system, your mind discovers combinations and selections and or possible explanation it has never seen before. The deposit return system simulation in Poland is actually a great morphological success, analysis success. Thanks to simulation, Instead of investing millions of dollars in a wrong infrastructure, the most suitable model based on data was selected. From an HR perspective, combining the right person with the right technology in the right logistics strategy is the peak of organizational efficiency. Trying to think outside the box without seeing all the possibilities inside the box is just a waste of time. You can see a lot of source in our documentation. Please look at it. It's another interesting method is trees. Trees method is another interesting and very important method. I love it too. Business life we will discuss now. Business life is full of contradiction. Make it fast but error-free. Increase quality but lower the cost. In food engineering, these technical construction situations are usually the main source of waste. The trees method teaches us to solve these contradictions with 40 in 20 principles. Trees method developed in Russia. The theory of inventive problem solving aims to resolve technical contradiction using inventive principles instead of compromises. In food engineering, when one feature improves while another deteriorates, example, increasing durability versus cost contradiction, 40 fundamental principles are used to overcome systemic barriers. This method replaces trial and error with radical, efficient solution to minimize food waste through engineering. Consider the harmful bacteria versus beneficial fungi contraction into bio-waste system. If you heat them all, the fungi die too. The solution, use the heat gradient. This is not just an engineering success, but also an art of creative problem solving. Creative problem solving mindset, it's very important and beautiful thing. This mindset involves viewing problems as opportunities for development and innovation rather than obstacles. In food system, it encourages a non-hierarchical, critical, out-of-the-box approach. Instead of accepting contradiction, this intellectual stance focuses on resolving them, serving as the driving force behind circular economy models and original strategies to prevent food loss. It's a core competency that transforms individual responsibility into corporate vision. As HR experts, we must provide our employees with this inventive thinking ability. Instead of giving up in the face of contradiction, we should use them as fuel for innovation. Trees is the most powerful intellectual screwdriver given us to prevent waste. Please use it. Let's be clear, organizations are not linear, but circular structures. A decision taken by one department can explode as a crisis in another department or a month later. The system dynamic approach makes these hidden links visible with causal loop diagrams. The system dynamics approach treats complex food systems as a whole, examining nonlinear relationships and feedback loops between variables. In food waste management, it simulates the delayed effects of policy changes, for example, penalties and incentives, and on other supply chain links. This analysis ensures the efficient allocation of resources, prevents incorrect policies, and supports the construction of long-term systematic resilience and sustainability. Causal loop diagram is a visual tool of system dynamics. These diagrams are arrows and loops to show how variables within a system influence each other. Through reinforcing and balancing loops, fundamental behavioral patterns causing food waste are mapped. This clarifies critical intervention points and hidden feedback mechanisms in complex food chain. It helps strategists see the entire system and make more accurate, sustainable decisions. Hong Kong's 2030 food waste analysis show us that investing in technology alone is not enough. If you don't include human behavior in the system with incentives and penalties, the loop breaks. In HR, we call this a feedback loop. If an employee is not rewarded when they reduce waste, the system will continue to produce waste. When designing food system, we should focus not only the efficiency of machines, but also the reactions and motivations of people. Those who cannot look at the system as a whole are destined to be slaves or waste. Trust is the foundation of good relationship, but in logistics, it's better to trust sensor. Earth sensor keeps a pulse on the cold chain within the real-time data they provide. When the coal taps project in Nigeria reduced food loss by 80% with solar cooling and smart monitoring, not only food waste saved, trust came to the local economy. This project in Nigeria aims to reduce post-harvest losses through solar-powered modular cold storage unit. In infrastructure-constrained region, it increased the shelf life of fresh produce from days to 21 days, minimizing food loss by 80%. This model, strengthening the local economy, is one of the world's most successful examples of smart engineering transformative impact on socio-economic resilience and food security. Psychologically, uncertainty creates stress. EOT eliminates uncertainty in logistic process, allowing employees to take calmer and more productive decisions. Cold chain safety is now at the tip of sensor, and these sensors are the digital eyes of food engineers in the field. Real-time monitoring gives the power to intervene without waiting for an error to happen. Those who cannot manage uncertainty cannot manage waste. When a mistake is made, the reflex is usually destroy everything and run. This is a panic waste created by lack of transparency. The immutable data offered by blockchain technology instills honesty and trust into the system. The technology creating an immutable and transparent digital recording system through the food supply chain. This technology guarantees traceability from farm to work. In case of a food safety risk, specific contaminated batches are quickly identified and recalled via blockchain. This surgical intervention capability prevents the destruction of entire lots, systematically reducing unnecessary food waste by 5% to 15% during safety incidents. Instead of throwing away the entire batch in case of contamination, we can weed out only the sick product with the targeted recalls capability. This is a surgical operation that reduces food waste by up to 15%. As an HR expert, I know that waste is inevitable in a culture that hides its mistake. Blockchain makes this mistake visible and manageable. Transparency is the strongest building block of sustainability. Data doesn't lie, but only when recorded correctly. AI is now our smartest but quietest colleague in the office. The Nuilab example in South Korea scans plate waste with 3D computer vision and offers us priceless data. South Korea-based Nuilab has developed smart food scanners that analyze plate waste using artificial intelligence and 3D imaging technology. Operating with 95% accuracy, this system converts consumer preferences into data, providing menu optimization for cafeteria managers. This digital innovation improves portion control and feeds demand forecasting algorithms, radically reducing food waste and the associated carbon footprint at the consumption stage. Critical thinking and data logic approach focuses on the evidence hierarchy and analytical reasoning instead of intuitive decision in food management. Data logic filters raw information from IoT and IE systems into strategic insight. This discipline, free from cognitive biases, in the most fundamental competency professionals must process to identify inefficiencies in complex food chains and develop sustainable, data-driven business solutions for the future. Daniel Kahneman thought is that our brains are lazy. The distinction between System 1 and System 2 is the biggest safety barrier in the food industry. Fast decision, System 1, trap us is cognitive biases. The moment you say, this machine always works like this, nothing will happen. Waste begins. As an industrial psychologist, my task is to encourage employees toward analytic slowness, System 2. Data logic is replacing anecdotes once it happens like this with evidence. Making a decision without data is like driving a car with your eyes closed. As food engineer, we don't just collect data. We filter it critically and transform it into strategic insight. The ability of reasoning is more valuable than the best technology. And now let's talk about the emotional part, the financial results. Reducing food waste is not just a goodness project. It's the most profitable business in the world. The 1.14 ROI ratio reported in waste reduction project is a return you cannot find in any investment tool. The fact that every $1 spent returns as $14 is not just a financial success, but also a social gain with the prevented carbon dioxide emission. Let's pay our debt to future generations with our efficiency today. Thank you for listening. Now go and stop the waste.